What is up, YouTube? My name is Eben, and I am bringing you the long-awaited post-rotation Tapu Koko GX deck. I tested this a little bit before I brought it to you guys, just to make sure we had like a good build for it. This is one of those decks, I just cannot leave this deck alone. I love it, and there's so many potential ways to spin this deck. There really are. I think I may come back to it a lot over the next few months at least, if not the rest of this season and the next, because this card is just so very good. This deck, I brought this exact list to my locals. I won it 4-0. It was great. I've had a lot of fun playing it. I mean, it's certainly not unbeatable, but it's a really good deck. It's very flexible. I like that it can answer almost anything. So anyway, that said, we're running 3 copies of Tapu Koko GX. His Arrow Trail, for those of you who don't already know, makes it so that when you play him from your hand onto your bench, you have the option to attach as many basic lightnings to him as you want. Well, actually, it's just lightnings, actually. It doesn't have to be basic. From your other Pokemon to him, and if you do, he automatically becomes your active Pokemon. So he's great for getting rid of status and other negative effects that might be on your active Pokemon, and he allows you to play max elixirs and stuff like that to power up Pokemon on your bench in any order you want, and then basically you play him and it all gets sucked up into one place. Mostly you attack with Sky High Claws for 2-hit KOs, and then we can Tapu Thunder for OHKOs against certain opponents when we kind of like compel them to set up in order to stay alive, and then we can pick things off. It's nice. But getting those 2-hit KOs can sometimes be a little challenging for Koko. The idea is to keep cycling your Kokos around so they never pick up KOs, but sometimes you need your opponent to just not attack you, is one of the things I've found. And this was a very creative solution that I have enjoyed immensely, and it is Evoshock Raichu. We're not planning to attack with it, although we could if we absolutely had to. I mean, 130 is okay damage output. Once again, we're looking at 2-hit KOs there. But the main reason we run this is because when you evolve from with this Pokemon from your hand, you have the option, which you'll pretty much always take, to paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon. So basically, you can use this thing, attack them with Sky High Claws, and they're paralyzed, and they can't do anything. And so they have to put a lot of effort, like playing Guzma when it might not be ideal or something like that, just to keep you from picking up a free KO with no retaliation on your Koko. And it can be especially hard because Guzma is a key way for people to switch out, for them to still damage the Tapu Koko in the process of getting their active paralyzed Pokemon out of trouble. I mean, yeah, they can Acerola, and that's a supporter they might want to play another time, and it blocks them from playing another supporter. You get the idea. It's a lot of interference and control. The other nice thing about Raichu that kind of makes it amazing is you might not be able to get damage counters on it for Acerola, but obviously you can Acerola it. But as long as you have like 2 of your Pikachus on the bench, which is the reason we're running 3 Pikachus, we can super scoop up our Raichus and just play a new one right down on that Pikachu, that second Pikachu we had out. And then we can bench that Pikachu we just picked up with the Raichu. So pretty amazing. Honestly, you can go with almost any Pikachu, but I like this one just because it's got the nuzzle. So it's that coin toss chance of paralysis for 1 energy. It's pretty nice. We're also running a lot of 1-ofs in this deck. We do have Bridget to kind of go get him. We've got the free retreat little promo Tapu Koko. He's got 2 different printings with different arts, but they do the same thing. Flying Flip's okay, and Electro Ball lets you deal... I mean, I guess you can attack with it. It's good against things like Alola Ninetales. We also have Jolteon EX, just in case this guy is prized or something like that. We still have another free retreater, which is nice with Guzma. Or, obviously free retreat pivots are always good. But we can swift through things if we absolutely have to, and Flash Ray can lock certain opponents, so I like that as just an option. Like Volcanion, for instance, has trouble with it. A friend of mine was recently lost a match in a tournament because he was running a Volcanion deck, and he couldn't punch through the guy with Flash Ray because the guy didn't bench any new Pokemon, and he couldn't deal with the Jolteon. He just lost. Jolteon just ground him down, so I like having that option. It's cool. We also have a Drampa GX in certain matchups. His Righteous Edge, obviously, is very problematic for opponents, the special energy removal. And Berserk is really good because our Tapu Koko likes to switch things that have damage counters on them onto our bench, so that Drampa can then take advantage of that for Berserk if we have to, and Big Wheel's not a bad GX. We have Alolan Vulpix, so we can easily attach an energy for the turn. Early game, Bridget, like say if we go second, get the Vulpix, pay that energy to retreat, and then do the Beacon. Beacon's really nice, of course, so always a good option there. And our last Pokemon is 1 copy of Tapu Lele GX, for all the obvious reasons, getting that Bridget, getting that N, getting that Guzma, whatever you need. And of course, you can pick her up with Acerola and Super Scoop Up to make a lot of utility work out of her ability as well. That's the Pokemon lineup. And we're going to go a little faster here. Our supporter lineup is for Sycamores, just because drawing is awesome. And we've got 3 Ns, still very powerful. A little situational, but still, pretty much the best, second best draw supporter there is. Arguably first, but anyway. We'll leave that debate for another day. We got 1 copy of Bridget, because you're going to want to search it and play it like once on your first turn, and that's about it. Lets you set up, get your Pikachus down, your Drampa if you need it, your free retreat Tapu Koko, etc. Sometimes I find in some games I don't necessarily need this as much as I might. I've considered dropping this for a Lily, but it's still been okay. I think you could run either way and be perfectly happy in my mind. Bridget I know is a big hype card right now, but my playtesting has shown me that in this particular deck, I don't know if Bridget's necessarily necessary. So draw your own conclusions there. I'm opting for 2 copies of Acerola. More kind of got a little clogged up in my hand, so 2 is good. 2 is happy. 2 is happiness itself. And obviously, basically, you just Tapu Koko for an old Tapu Koko that's been damaged, suck the energy off onto the new one, and then you Acerola to just pick up that damaged Tapu Koko into your hand, and then he's ready to pinch hit for the new one whenever the time comes. And then we've got 3 Guzma to make sure that we're controlling the board and getting those knockouts where we need to, pulling up the right Pokemon on our opponent's side. Because obviously no Versus Seeker anymore, so Guzma kind of a must. Then we've got our items are pretty straightforward here. We've got 4 Ultra Balls for all the obvious reasons. Great way to get our Raichu, pretty much the exclusive way to get our Raichu. And we've got these lovely Max Elixirs because with our manual energy attached for the turn, combined with these, you can get, if you go second, you can theoretically get your Tapu Koko attacking on turn 1 if you can hit 2 Elixirs and then get that 1 Lightning Energy normally played out of your hand. So, pretty amazing. It sounds a little far-fetched, but when you think about things like Sycamore, it's not that. It's really not that hard to do. So, pretty amazing. That's 130 damage is a lot when you're doing it on turn 1. And Fighting Fury Belt just gives us that buff, because that's kind of what Tapu Koko does. He gets a lot of HP and a lot of shields and is very hard to OHKO. So this puts him to 210 HP, which is nice, and the extra 10 doesn't hurt. It's nice. Damage is damage. And then we've got the other half of our Tapu Koko shield is Aether Paradise Conservation Area, which gives him a 30-point shield against damage. So basically between these 2 cards, it takes 240 damage to one-shot him, which few decks can put out. But I mean, you know this combo by now. We've got 4 Super Scoop Up, thanks to its reprinting. This awesome card is back, and it is just made for Tapu Koko. It's so good, and of course this deck capitalizes on it with Raichu especially. We've got 2 Field Blowers. This can pick off timely Fighting Fury Belts, get rid of things like Brooklet Hill if you feel like you really need to. It's just a good solid staple that has lots of uses. And we've got 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher. You can shuffle things like a Raichu and a Pikachu back into your deck if you feel the need or something like that, but primarily this card's function in this deck is to go get a Tapu Koko that you have to discard early or that gets KO'd somehow and just bring it back into your hand, and you can just instantly play it down and do Arrow Trail, what Tapu Koko does best. And that's your whole item lineup, and the remainder of our deck is, of course, energies. They're all basics, and they are just 12 lightning energies. It is that simple, because you really don't need a special energy. That's it. You don't really need DCEs. This deck doesn't really want them. It's just straight lightning, and with 12, you're pretty certain to get them in your hand and then to hit your elixirs and whatnot as well, which is pretty crucial. So that is the deck. It doesn't take a lot of practice to get the swing of it. It's very effective, and those Raichus are almost always something the opponents don't expect, but are greatly damaged by, especially when you're trying to pick up those really critical 2-hit KOs, like, say, Gardevoir GX, for example, or Metagross. Those things can be pretty tough because they can do so much damage in return and potentially threaten OHKOs under the right circumstances. But when you paralyze them, it takes a lot of the guesswork out, like, oh, are they going to be able to Field Blower and get rid of my tool and or my stadium and stuff like that. The paralysis makes it a lot more challenging for them. It's just one more way that you can kind of maintain your control. But anyway, until next time, like, comment, subscribe, check out my channel for more cool videos, and I will see you next time.